So we spent several weeks, really several months, going over anatomy, and started to, with our dance of duality, slip into more philosophy. And then the next several months, we're going to be covering mythology, philosophy, and those really weave together in the yoga tradition. And during the whole COVID thing, for me, I have felt a very strong call to get back to nature. And in a way, this awe at Mother Nature. When shelter in place went down, what came up for me was maybe a year or two ago, I listened to a podcast about climate change, and the presenter was talking about strategies to make it better. And one of the things he said was that, stop flying or fly less. And I remember at the time I laughed out loud, because I'm like, that's never going to happen. And then here comes this virus, and basically all planes are grounded. Travel is significantly diminished. Commuting is significantly diminished. And I was like, wow, look at that. What humans would never be able to do through our own willpower, Mother Nature was able to do within a matter of days. And similarly with the fires in a lot of ways. And this is perhaps maybe a little close to home right now. I saw an article, and it was actually very triggering for me. And the person being interviewed made the comment, we need to learn to live with fire. And there was a part of me that was like, no, it's bad, right? It's causing all this damage right now. And I realized how much that was a product of culture and society and where we are right now as humans on this planet, that we tend to view nature as an enemy and as something to control, right? Something to be destroyed, something to be contained, something to be managed, to put into a box. And then that made me think about, one of my teachers often talks about how the practice has a lot of roots in shamanism. Makes total sense, because the yogis, the saints, the sages, the rishis were out in nature, watching nature to learn about the nature of humanity, because we are of this planet, we are of this environment. And in a way, we've kind of forgotten that and gotten far away from it. So the yogis of old would be out in the forest, talking to the trees, looking at the sky, watching the stars, digging into the earth, noticing the relationships that are happening among the animals, the birds, the trees. And I think it feels very holistic and very soothing to get back in touch with the elements inside of us and all around us. The yoga tradition calls the elements the pancha mahabhutas, the 5 great elements. And they are earth, water, fire, air, and space. And we're going to spend the next several months, several weeks going through them. They have great myths, because all of the elements are deified, they're personified, and they also have places that they reside in the body. We're going to start with fire, because that is so up for us right now. And fire is actually placed in a position of primacy in terms of the elements and the traditions. In the Vedas, which is our oldest living text, Agni is the first word. Agni is the word for fire. Agni plays a major role in a lot of the myths. For example, in the Mahabharata, the great Indian epic, there's an episode where he's starving, and then he consumes a whole forest. And one of the things that's often done in the tradition are actually fire ceremonies. There are these things called yagnas, which are these very elaborate multi-day fire rituals where you feed the fire, you offer things to the fire. And then there are much smaller personal fire rituals called homa. The thing to remember about these rituals is that the yogis are honoring and respecting fire, which is an element of transformation. It's treated with respect because it's life-giving. We have evolved with fire. It's been used to give us light, to give us protection, and also to do things like cook our food, which being able to cook food with fire, they believe changed everything, including our brains. Fire is also treated as sacred because it can easily get out of control and cause a lot of destruction. What we're going to do with the practice today is cultivate a little bit of inner heat and light, what the yogis call tapas, the friction that generates the spark of transformation. And just like fire in nature, you don't want the fire of your practice, the heat and intensity of your practice to get out of control and burn you up or burn you out. We want this steady, warm kindling of inner light and energy through the practice. And this practice has this steady, like a drumbeat rhythm and pace. And you're going to be invited to manage the temperature and the intensity so that it's actually life-giving rather than destructive. And that's something too with the stress, right? Especially whenever we, like at the beginning of COVID, at the beginning of the fires, sometimes people will be a little bit anxious or high energy, and then they tend to over effort on the mat. Burn up, burn out. The intensity is too much. And what we want to learn is how to really nourish ourselves with the heat of the practice. And that usually just takes checking in and managing the temperature and intensity. Whatever you come to the practice with, you can treat that like a fire offering. You come with a headache, you offer that to the fire. You come with anxiety, you offer that to the fire. You come with kind of some right side body pain, you offer that to the fire. You come with lethargy, frustration, despair, depression, offer that to the fire. And then too, it becomes like your own mini fire ritual on the mat. We're going to begin laying down.